In the years following World War II, America entered an era defined by Cold War paranoia, rapid scientific advancement, and an increasing fascination with the unknown. Among the most persistent mysteries that captured the public's imagination were reports of unidentified flying objects, UFOs. These sightings, often strange and unexplained, led the U.S. government to take official action. Thus began Project Blue Book, a classified program by the United States Air Force to study and analyze UFO reports from across the country. From 1952 to 1969, Project Blue Book served as the U.S. government's primary effort to investigate UFO phenomena. Over its 17-year history, it examined more than 12,000 sightings, many of which remain unsolved to this day. While the Air Force publicly claimed the project was a way to debunk myths and ease public anxiety, others argue it was a cover-up for something far more extraordinary. The modern UFO era began in 1947 when pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 fast-moving objects near Mount Rainier, Washington. He described them as moving like a saucer would if you skipped it across the water. The press picked up on the term flying saucers, and a cultural obsession was born. Only weeks later, the Roswell incident made headlines when the U.S. Army claimed it had recovered a flying disc from a crash site near Roswell, New Mexico, before quickly retracting the statement and saying it was just a weather balloon. These early sightings created a wave of public interest and fear. The U.S. military recognized the need to address the UFO issue formally. Before Blue Book, there were 2 earlier investigative efforts. Project Sign in 1948, which concluded some UFOs might be of extraterrestrial origin, but findings were downplayed. Then, there was Project Grudge in 1949, which took a more skeptical approach, aimed at reducing public interest in UFOs. Both projects laid the groundwork for Project Blue Book, which began in 1952 under the direction of Captain Edward J. Ruppelt, an officer open to investigating the UFO phenomenon scientifically and fairly. Project Blue Book had 2 official goals: to determine whether UFOs posed a threat to national security, and to scientifically analyze UFO-related data. Although presented as an objective investigation, critics have long argued that the real purpose of Blue Book was to control public perception and explain away UFO reports to prevent mass panic and maintain military secrecy. Blue Book received reports from military personnel, pilots, police officers, and civilians. The project team reviewed each case using a combination of eyewitness testimony, photographs, radar data, and environmental information such as weather conditions and astronomical activity. Each sighting was categorized as identified, usually attributed to natural phenomena like planets, stars, weather balloons, aircraft, satellites, or hoaxes. Unidentified, cases that could not be explained after thorough analysis. Out of 12,618 sightings, 701 remain classified as unidentified, meaning that even with detailed investigation, no clear explanation could be found. The Lubbock Lights, 1951. In Lubbock, Texas, a group of university professors reported V-shaped formations of glowing blue lights flying overhead. Dozens of residents also witnessed the lights, and photographs were taken. The Air Force suggested the lights were birds reflecting city lights, but many found this explanation unconvincing. The Washington, D.C. UFO incident, 1952. In July 1952, radar operators at Washington National Airport and Andrews Air Force Base detected unknown objects over restricted airspace. Visual sightings by pilots and civilians confirmed the radar returns. Jet fighters were scrambled, but the objects vanished before they could be intercepted. The Air Force blamed temperature inversions affecting radar, though the incident remains unexplained. The Lonnie Zamora Encounter, 1964. New Mexico police officer Lonnie Zamora witnessed an egg-shaped craft and 2 small humanoid figures near Socorro. The object left physical evidence, scorched earth, and landing impressions. The case was investigated thoroughly, and even Project Blue Book listed it as unexplained. Captain Edward J. Ruppelt. Ruppelt was the first and arguably the most open-minded director of Project Blue Book. He introduced standardized reporting procedures and the term UFO as a more accurate and less sensational label. In his book, The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects, published in 1956, Ruppelt criticized how the Air Force later handled the project, suggesting it had become more about debunking than discovery. Dr. J. Allen Hynek, an astronomer and scientific advisor to Blue Book, Hynek initially dismissed most UFO reports. However, after years of investigation, he came to believe that many sightings defied conventional explanation. Hynek later founded the Center for UFO Studies, known as CUFOS, and created the Close Encounter classification system, such as Close Encounters of the First Kind. In the 1960s, public pressure mounted for a full scientific review of UFOs. In 1966, the Air Force commissioned the University of Colorado, led by physicist Dr. Edward Condon, to conduct an independent investigation. The resulting Condon report, published in 1968, concluded that further extensive study of UFOs probably cannot be justified in the expectation that science will be advanced thereby. This conclusion gave the Air Force the cover it needed to terminate Project Blue Book in December 1969. Officially, the Air Force stated, "There is no evidence that UFOs represent a threat to our national security." Though Project Blue Book was closed, public interest in UFOs did not fade. If anything, it intensified. Many believed Blue Book was a smokescreen, a public relations tool designed to cover up military technology or even alien encounters. Critics have pointed out that investigators were under pressure to explain sightings, even if the explanation didn't fit the evidence. Some cases were closed prematurely. There may have been secret projects running parallel to Blue Book that handled high-level or sensitive encounters. Project Blue Book has had a lasting impact on both science and popular culture. It paved the way for the UFO phenomenon to become a major part of American identity, influencing movies, TV shows, books, and music. Some notable cultural impacts include The X-Files, which borrowed heavily from the idea of secret government files and agents investigating unexplained phenomena. The Project Blue Book TV series, produced by the History Channel between 2019 and 2020, dramatized real cases and brought renewed attention to the topic. The term Blue Book itself has become synonymous with government secrecy and UFO cover-ups. After Blue Book ended, its case files were declassified and transferred to the National Archives. They are now available to the public, though many are heavily redacted. Skeptics argue that the most sensitive cases were likely handled outside Blue Book or destroyed. In recent years, there has been a revival of interest in UFOs, now rebranded as UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. Government agencies have released new videos and reports, some originating from military pilots who observed strange objects exhibiting extreme speed and maneuverability. This has led to speculation that a new version of Blue Book is happening behind the scenes, one that is far more advanced and classified. Project Blue Book remains one of the most important and controversial efforts by the U.S. government to study UFOs. While its official conclusion was that UFOs pose no threat and lack extraterrestrial origins, its methods and limitations have long been questioned. For many, Blue Book represents the beginning of official UFO research, as well as the start of widespread mistrust between the government and the public on this issue. With renewed interest in UAPs and ongoing congressional hearings, the spirit of Blue Book lives on. We may not have all the answers yet, but the questions raised by Blue Book continue to inspire scientists, researchers, and dreamers across the world.